It has been a continual discussion among the fans of Salem's Lot, the 79 miniseries version. Why was Ralphie Glick wearing pajamas when he visited his brother as a vampire at his brother's window? Well, if you've seen our videos before, me, Ben, and Sam, the Salem's Lot minority, you've heard my theory, and I stick by it. But ultimately, that's all it is, a theory. The same as many of you have your own theory. Well, I decided let's get the final definitive answer. I managed to reach out to the actual wardrober from Salem's Lot, and I think I have the answer. That's all in this episode. Let's get to it. All right, guys, I'm here with my buddies, Ben and Sam. We are the Salem's Lot minority. And, I found out this information about Ralphie's pajamas, and I really just couldn't come on here by myself and tell you what I found out. We're a crew here. We're Salem's Lot minority. We're a group. So, Ben and Sam, how you guys doing?
We're doing fine.
Doing
Hanging
well.
tough. Can't wait for Ferndale.
Yeah,
Yes, we
it's
are
getting
headed
closer. It's getting close to fall finally.
It is. It
Yeah,
is.
I'm still blown away by the fact that we're going to be in Salem's Lot in October.
Yeah,
Heck
me
yeah.
too.
Absolutely.
Hey, you
It's
just can't
fun
beat
there
that.
too in October.
It is absolutely awesome. Well, as I said in the intro, this pajama thing, we mentioned it in the Goofs video the other day, and we were saying, we're not really going to go over this again because it's just talked about so much. Well, I decided I was going to try to get the actual answer. And so I'm going to start by telling you how I got the answer. Mara Alexandru, we interviewed her. Sam and I did, what, about a year ago, Sam? Something like that.
Last July, I think it was the end of July last year because I couldn't do it because
Yeah.
I couldn't be there unfortunately.
Yeah, we were sad about that, by the way. But Mara, if you don't know who Mara is, she is in the movie Salem's Lot. She's the nurse, not waitress, the nurse that comes in, and she finds Danny Glick dead on the bed, screams and drops everything. Okay, she's also a little trivia for you. I'm not telling Ben and Sam this; they know this, but if you're watching and don't know this, when Marjorie Glick raises from the dead at the morgue, she has her arm slashed by the doctor, and so that's actually Mara's arm. And so Mara also did a lot of behind the scenes stuff, standing work. She hung out with crew. She has a lot of great stories. All right, so fast forward past Salem's Lot, Mara was married to a man named Barry Kellogg. Now, if you look at the credits on IMDb, there are two wardrobers, one of which has already passed away in 99. The other one is Barry Kellogg. So Mara was so nice to reach out to Barry to see about possibly doing an interview. And, he's kind of a private guy from what I understand. So he wasn't really, up for coming on here and doing a face-to-face interview, but he did talk a lot to Mara. Mara called me yesterday. She actually texted me while I was sitting in church, and she said, "I'm talking to him right now." And I was going, "Yeah." I mean,
Praise be.
so luckily I was awake during the sermon at the time she texted me. I'm kidding.
I was giving that sermon.
Yeah, well, my phone's going. Anyway, so she talked to him for over an hour.
Wow.
Now
That's cool.
let's jump right into the actual information. First of all, we hear all kinds of things. It was a continuity error. I don't buy it. It was a wardrobe error, not area. I've never bought that. Our buddy Steve Moray, he said, I thought maybe it was because he never had a funeral like Danny. The guy always has great thoughts. I love Steve. Another guy, Joel,
Awesome.
he says they made him look creepy. It's very simple. Yeah, I agree with you, man. That's right. But still, what's the reason? All right. The first thing I want to talk about, though, I don't think it's a continuity issue because he he comes to Danny's window twice. He's wearing the same thing twice.
Mhm.
Okay, so it seems like that would have been a deliberate choice. So I ruled that out. Let's talk about the wardrobe issue. Now, I've told you guys before, I've been on a lot of movie set, a lot of TV shows. Wardrobe is very deliberate. There are people that is their job. If they mess it up, it's kind of like you had one job, man. So
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I've been on Walking Dead, whatever the case is. People come up and they just do like this. Mm-hmm. And they look at everything you're wearing. So I have always had a hard time thinking this is a wardrobe error. Now, I then asked last night my daughter, who works in wardrobe on several productions, she said, there's no way. There's no way. She says, I don't buy it. All right. So Mara talked to Barry, and I'm going to go ahead and be upfront with you. Barry, it's been a long time. It's been 45 years. Okay. I get it. The guy worked on several productions.
Yeah.
He says, I can't tell you 100%. I get it. But she said, look, here are the theories. Barry said, well, she told him my theory that he would have been appearing to Danny in a dreamlike state because Danny had already gone to the hospital. So how could he be appearing in his bedroom if he's already gone to the hospital? We know he's gone to the hospital. Okay. Danny's wearing pajamas. Ralphie's wearing pajamas. You put all this together and you think there's really no other explanation other than we're seeing this from this sort of dream vision that Danny's having, that Ralphie's given him. So she presented these theories, and his response was that theory sounds right. He's like, yeah, it was more of a dreamlike state. That sounds right. Now that's straight from the wardrober's mouth. It's been a while. I understand.
Yeah.
Now he did give us some other information, guys, because
Nice.
he said the whole idea of a wardrobe era, he said, no way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Here's one reason. Richard Culbert's producer, he said Richard Culbert's had his hand in every single thing. And it was a little surprising because, you know, you wouldn't think they would have their hand that close into wardrobe, but he did. As a matter of fact, he said that when they were doing the scene, whenever they were at the mission and they were talking to Father Callahan, he even said, yeah, we were filming at some mission in San Fernando Valley or something. He was even being specific about that. He said he had Father Callahan originally dressed in more of white.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, you got walkie-talkies on set, right?
Right.
So he said, they come over with walkie-talkie. Richard wants to talk to you. So he gives a walkie-talkie to Barry. And Richard tells Barry, and I'm quoting here, he looks like a Mexican waiter.
Damn.
So
You gotta change that.
he says,
Wow.
okay. So Barry had to go and change what he was wearing. And that's what you see now in the movie. So Barry said he didn't really see it that way, but yeah, you do what you're
That's
told,
the
right?
producer. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going through, I was writing as fast as I could as Mara was talking. So yeah. So I feel like we can lay that theory to rest fairly confidently that that's why he's wearing pajamas. It had to have been intentional. You cannot tell me that wardrobers, professional wardrobers, went, oops.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the
it's
How do you end up in pajamas?
Yeah.
It's not
Wow.
going to happen, man.
And the dream, because those scenes are more dreamlike
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
the one with Mark and Danny.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
That's
Danny
real.
is wearing what he was buried in. I mean, he didn't manipulate what he was wearing.
And it's
And he
very
speaks.
confrontational. It's a
Yeah.
very confrontational element. And
Mhm.
you're right, it is dream state because the first time he comes around, there's no physical interaction at that point. It's just them face to face, and it's
Mhm.
Ralphie, here I am, and then it fades, and then it gets to the next scene. So nothing is really cast in concrete other than a visit. And it's very
Yeah,
dreamlike, very spacey, it's very lava lampish.
Mhm.
it
And
is.
that makes total sense. It really does.
And I think it would have helped a little bit if when Ralphie comes the second time, the actual
Yeah.
visit,
Yeah.
if maybe they'd put him in his normal clothes for that one.
Yeah, I could see that.
And then we could just definitely, people might have already been, oh, okay, that was a dream. So now this is the real deal.
Yeah,
I don't know.
it's cast in concrete, it's that. But if you notice Ralphie in the second attempt, he's much more aggressive. There's no smile. It's just
Wow.
he is really much more, I wouldn't say aggressive, but he's definitely more serious. He's not
Mhm.
teasing with the
Yeah.
smile and the eyes kind of widening a little bit, like look at me approach. It's I'm after you. I need this.
Yeah.
I want to interject one thing because you have always attested that it's a dream, the first one,
Yeah.
because the parents say, get Dr. Norton when Danny comes out of the woods and falls down in the yard. I always took it like he was in his room. They put him in his room until they were instructed to go to the hospital. And Ralphie still came to the house. Now maybe he didn't bite him there. Maybe it was just a friendly kind of, but I mean, I'm sure he did in some regards. There had to have been something that happened because that next time he was much more animalistic looking. And I don't know if that was a conscious decision, but that's what I noticed in terms of just the way he looks a lot more like friendly, if you could put it that way, in a creepy way in the first one. And then the
You're right.
second one, he's much more kind of, there's a savage look to him.
Exactly.
He is on a
Yeah.
mission and he is
Mhm.
going to make sure that he's completed what he has set out to do.
Mhm.
And if you look at Danny too, Danny's not smiling back as with the
No, it's very serious.
so entranced, like he's just completely hypnotic into that and kind of almost just by natural instinct knows what to do. He
Mhm.
knows to go to the window and let him in. He doesn't hesitate.
Mhm.
He doesn't have any of the characteristics that the first time comes around where he's at first he's kind of holding his
He
neck,
sits up and he looks at him at first, and then he slowly gets over that. Yeah.
smiles.
Yeah.
The
Definitely Dan.
next time he just gets up and out, like it's almost like,
Well, he's
yeah,
kind of an prince. He
yeah,
knows what to do with
the routine is
Yeah.
almost there. Yeah.
exactly. Very interesting, Danny.
Yeah, no, I like that. It's like, and I knew that you guys were, that was something that was brought up in that interview with Mara that you were gonna, you that had come up, and I know her father had a history of being, in a lot of movies. Like she mentioned Poseidon. I mean, she in terms of like being, working on them, like Poseidon Adventure and Towering Inferno were ones that she had brought up and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah.
Paul Newman that she had met and Fred Astaire. Those were things that she brought up as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I was always curious about that because, like you said, it is. I have a friend that went to college for costume design for theater, and it is a very even though it's different from movies, you don't just throw something in that's going to throw off.
Yeah.
I mean, and plus the fact that Ralphie's back in his street clothes when we see him in the basement or in the root cellar. Right there, I'm like going, that's okay. If he was laying in his pajamas there, I'd be like, that's weird. He didn't.
Yeah.
That's so. It's like I think that would have been more off-putting for me, just because and again, going back to the book, I've always said the vampires mess with their victims,
Mhm.
and I just saw it like, there's my brother, and he's ready for bed, and I'm in bed, and I need to let him in, that kind of thing.
Now, I will interject this thought. Okay. I'm talking about wardrobers. They have one job. They're very deliberate and specific. Now, things do happen on sets
yeah.
where there are inaccuracies. And I'll give an example. I'm not going to name the movie because you would know the director and I'm not going to name it, but I do know someone on that set saying there was some military uniforms involved. And the honcho comes in and makes decisions over the wardrobe, and they're trying to say, well, this is not accurate. And then it just gets overridden because of the way it looks. It drives me crazy when I see Marines on movies or TV shows and their uniform is all jacked up. And I'm going, 30 seconds of research, man. Don't
Yeah.
jack up a Marine Corps uniform. We wear that, we earn that thing. Don't, you got somebody with Lance Corporal stripes and a blood stripe on their pants. No, man, that does not happen. Anyway, I'm like, come on, 30 seconds of research. So there are little things like that will happen. But in terms of their clothing in general, this kind of error would not take place.
Yeah, I mean, going to your point, being in the military, my grandfather, I remember when he watched a movie that dealt with World War II, he could spot things. He's like, well, you wouldn't talk to somebody like that. That's just, again, and you're talking to somebody that was in that war. It's again, sometimes I think you do artistic license, but it's like things like that do happen. But again, in terms of like, you wouldn't see somebody with bagpipes in World War II. So it's like, those are the things that you're like going, okay, this is wrong, obviously. So what was the whole thing behind what Barry was saying is that, you wouldn't make a mistake like that unless it was something like everybody agreed upon. This is the way it's supposed to look in this scene, much like the direction that he got for the Father Callahan scene.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, I'll wrap it up with just a couple of extra things that mean nothing, but they're just fun because we love everything we can find out about this movie.
Yeah.
So apparently, he was telling some stories about, Lance Kerwin would apparently always have friends on the set with him, and there was he kept a lot of cash in his pocket. And apparently there was one day where he was yelling, somebody stole my money. And so that was kind of a thing. I don't know how it resolved, but anyway.
He's like, it was me.
Yeah. I think
that's
we
part of the wardrobe.
Yeah. And he said that years later, he was swimming. He was in the ocean in Hawaii. And he looked up and David Soul was there.
Oh, wow.
And so it was kind of like, oh, hey, reminiscing, catching up. And then at one point he mentioned, Salem's Lot. And so apparently David had smacked the water and said, those blank, really went off about it. Because apparently it was something like this was a first one to go to VHS or something, and things were not worked out, excuse me, in terms of residuals. So, he got nothing
really
off of that kind of stuff. Yeah. So there was, according to him, I'm not saying this is gospel truth, but according to him, that was an issue. They didn't get any residuals.
That could be possibly why he was never really on board to talk about Salem's Lot for so many years. I don't think he was hounded with the question, but it kind of makes sense that he just didn't really emphasize until the 42nd anniversary where he did that video. It was really the first time that he literally unleashed his memories. And
I was surprised he did that.
Bury the hatchet in his mind to be able to go back and look back on fond memories with James Mason and Lance Kerwin, because before that, it really just didn't seem to come up in any interviews, or he didn't really touch on that base too much.
Not really at all. I mean, it was that was the first, and that's why that video. I remember when that video surfaced; it was huge for fans like us.
I think I watched it 3 times in a row.
Oh yeah,
I couldn't believe that he was actually touching on that, and he was, like you said, he was one of the stars of the film.
Yeah, he's the main character, and it's like that's just different. And again, I think you're seeing that kind of same thing with like. That's why a lot of the actors, when the actors strike happened, it was like streaming and things like that, where they're not getting the proper, return on investment. They're the face of that product and you're putting it on streaming and you're not giving them the money. That was something that I could see that happening with the VHS, craze of the 80s and 90s.
Wow. Yep, absolutely. Well, guys, that's I hope that answers your question. And
this is great. I mean, I've been curious about it since you guys talked to her last year. If she would ever be able to
even
talk
if
to
it's
him.
not 100% accurate, that seems accurate enough where I'm convinced, and it's just
more than we had before for sure.
Yeah.
If she's watching this video, thank you, Mara. I mean, anything you
Yeah,
could bring
thank you,
to the
Mara.
table that's worth for us three that run this thing, and also for the fans. I mean, that's fantastic. If
Yeah.
every little bit, is just something to bring to the table, we can just go interesting, ... and we just have fun there. So, yeah, Mara, if you are watching, thank you so much.
Thank you,
Really
Mark.
cool.
Really appreciate it.
And I told her, I said, you're in my favorite movie. It's just an honor for me to be able to talk to you. So, I mean, I don't get starstruck by people, but man, you're in Salem's Lot. That's my, so that's pretty big in my brain. So I was very appreciative.
No, she seems like a really nice lady.
Absolutely.
He really is.
Well, friends, thanks for watching. I hope you have found this interesting and informative. I want to give a special heartfelt thanks to Mara Alexandru for finding out this information for us, and also to wardrober Barry Kellogg for being willing to talk about it. We really do appreciate it. And as always, thanks to Ben and Sam, my buddies, the Salem's Lot minority. And thanks for watching. Until I see you next time, I wish for you and all your family and friends peace and blessings. I'll see you soon.